What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. Big shout out to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Smyrna, Delaware Bushido Academy, and White Belt Surfer, proud supporter of today's show. Today we're joined by Logan Yuen, a dedicated Gracie Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, instructor, and future CTC owner who's built his journey from the ground up. From starting as a teenager with no martial arts background to competing, teaching, and now opening his own school, Logan's story is all about growth, discipline, and purpose. In this episode, we dive into his early struggles, how jiu-jitsu changed the trajectory of his life, the realities of competition, the importance of community, and what it truly takes to build something meaningful in this space. This conversation, is one that hits pretty deep. So whether you train or not, let's get into it. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle. Today we were joined by Logan Yuen, and super excited to have him on today's episode. And just for those watching, so Kumite Lifestyle is something that I started, back in 2025, so last year. It's crazy how fast time flies, and the whole purpose of this platform is to bring on folks of all walks of life. We have martial artists, entrepreneurs, and today we kind of get to discuss a little bit of both. So Logan, like myself, is a jiu-jitsu practitioner, and we're both under the Gracie University system, which we'll talk about. And if you go back to my previous podcast with other CTC owners, we kind of give you the tea there. But I'm going to let Logan explain his perspective, and more importantly, I'm excited for Logan because he's going to be opening up a Gracie University Certified Training Center, CTC, very soon. So I'll let him take it away there. But before we start, Logan, thank you so much for joining us. And where are you right now in the world?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Currently I am in Holiday, Utah.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
where's where's Utah on the map? For anyone who's
Yeah.
not, familiar with the US map, if you will.
Sorry if I lost you there for a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Um, so yeah, Utah is the state. Everyone knows where Nevada is because Las Vegas,
Yep.
right? So we're the state just on the other side of Nevada. So if you're coming from California, which most people are in our system, right? Whether they're visiting Grace University or checking out some amazing schools over there, we're just right between Nevada and Wyoming, Idaho. So western part of the U.S., but definitely not the coast. Don't be confused.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you gave some geography, like certain locations, like of course
Hmm.
Nevada and Vegas, and then California. Man, this has kind of been a new endeavor. Like, I'm a new endeavor for me, as far as whenever I reach out to someone, or if I'm interested in having someone on, I always forget to take into account the different time zones, and that was the case for us. So I apologize for that. But bro, isn't it
No
interesting,
worries.
right? Like, growing up, we learn about the US states and the map, and I'm assuming that today's generation is learning that. I don't know. But
Yeah.
it's like we already had this idea where certain states are, but then sometimes I'll go back and look at a map. I'm thinking, oh, I didn't realize that that state was literally next to that state. So like, I know
Hmm.
they're like it's around that, this states, but yeah, so it's just been a good reminder. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
man,
and I
very
was just
cool.
in Pennsylvania recently over the break, and it was amazing to be able to look it up. And Delaware is a small state, man.
Yeah, dude.
And I've been following, the school's Instagram for years, but looking that up and seeing it's only about a 2 hour drive from where I was at.
Yeah.
When you hit East Coast, everything's just smushed together, man. So that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, dude. And I was just having a conversation with someone when we were out at the instructor certification program, ICP, and I
Hmm.
was saying, like, if you picture California, which obviously both of us know, but California takes up all of the West Coast. Well, if you go on the East Coast, it's like from Florida all the way up to like Maine. That's like the length of California. So when I hear people, in Cali saying, "Oh yeah, like, I'm going up to Northern California. It's going to be like a 2-day trip." I don't think people really understand how big California
Yeah.
is if they've
Yep.
never if they've never been there, or if they're living in
Hmm.
a state like you said, Delaware, that's very, very small. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely interesting, man. And it kind of jujitsu is it's been our vehicle, if you will. We get to travel because of it,
Hmm.
aside from family and friends. So I want to kind of start with your beginning journey, if you will. So,
Yeah.
when did you start martial arts? Because I don't want to just assume that it was just jujitsu based, but when did you start martial arts and how does jujitsu come into the play for you, Logan?
Yeah, man. For me, it did start with jiu-jitsu. So I started 13 years ago.
Nice.
So it was funny. I actually was never a kid that was into martial arts. Obviously, I'm half Chinese, so my dad, raised me watching Karate Kid and Enter the Dragon and all of those, and that was sick. But martial arts was never something I really had a big curiosity to dive into. I was a big snowboarder and skateboarder. So for, from 5 to 15, I was always skating, always snowboarding. And just because of some of the choices I was making as a teenager, um, it I found myself in high school not doing very good in school.
Mm.
And that was a big issue that I at the time was not addressing. And so I have an older brother that introduced me into the martial arts via Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And
Yeah.
um, he had a conversation with my mother, and something had to be done about, me making sure that my school gets kept up. And he invites me, he says, "Hey, when you come home tonight, we're gonna go to a fighting class." And I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, it's jujitsu." And my reaction as a 15-year-old that skateboards is I was like, "I already know how to fight."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And little did I know, right? So we show up, and it was definitely different, right? I didn't know about the uniforms. All I knew about martial arts was like what you can see in the movies. So I was like, okay, like, do I bow? Do I need to call somebody master? And that was not the vibe at all. Um, it was kind of cool because he took me around for the first couple months, and I checked out like a bunch of the schools here in the Utah Valley. And it was very clear that the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu system under Gracie University, now was Gracie Academy, was the system for us. I had an experience at 15 where I went to a local jiu-jitsu slash MMA gym here, and I was 145 pounds soaking wet, and I roll with a 240-pound brown belt, and he just like shreds my shoulder in an Americana.
Mm.
And my shoulder is still, you know, I still live with that to this day. But after that experience, I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I want to go somewhere where I can learn and not get hurt.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
And that's what kicked me off. I fell in love with it. I started training regularly. The first year was kind of hit and miss because obviously I'm 15, I can't drive, so I'm just going when my brother can make it. But I ended up being a lot more dedicated than him. I made a deal with my mom. I said, "Hey, man, hey to my mom, like, I'll go to my classes, I'll get all my work done, this and that, if you drive me to jujitsu." And man, I ended up starting to train like 5, 6 days a week. Originally, actually, I wanted to be a competitor. So
Yeah,
originally, I wanted to compete professionally, which a lot of people don't really think of Grace University and the competition scene being so intertwined. But for me, it worked out. I started competing as a white belt, and I think the worst thing that could have happened for me is the fact that I won,
yeah,
because I got so obsessed with jujitsu, and that was kind of how the journey started. And I was competing for years, even just with the combatives. I was in combatives for a couple of years. Um, and this was during the time too, like bear in mind, because this is like 2015. So this is during the time that like Gracie has that rap of like the online blue belts. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah. Oh
Because
yeah,
back in the day, right, there used to be this kind of stigma that people didn't like that you can get a blue belt online. And I was very proud of the fact that I would go and compete. And when people asked where I was from, I said I was from Gracie University.
yeah,
But that's kind of how things got started. That eventually just shifted into like the normal story of um, I got asked to cover a couple of kids classes, and as soon as I started teaching, there was a couple years of kind of like I was doing both. I was still training all the time, teaching, competing, and then it really morphed into like what I found fulfillment in, which was the teaching side of things. So I ran with that. Um, when I was 18 years old, I had a conversation with my dad, and he's like talking to me about schools and college and the regular route. And I remember looking at my dad, and I was like, "Hey, man, like, I'm gonna do jujitsu for the rest of my life. Like, I'm gonna do this for a living." And I wasn't sure how I was gonna do that yet, but he told me something I never forgot, and he was like, "You can do whatever you want as long as you do it 100%." And I've told him I would, and I've kind of stuck to my word to this day.
Yeah, man. No, that's so cool, dude. And I appreciate you sharing your humble upbringing, if you will. It's always fascinating when I hear, or, whether it's on the podcast or indirectly, and, we kind of fall, I don't want to say fall victim to it, but it's very easy, as they say, doom scrolling. And so I love being able to just, like, I'll listen to random people talk about their experiences, and keep in mind more jujitsu based, of course. It's kind
Hmm.
of theme
Yeah.
focused, but everyone that I've talked to or I've listened to, it's very similar where I don't want to say they were lost initially, but when they found jujitsu, it was like a big missing part of their life that they didn't even realize that they needed. So just listening to you talk about how, your brother got you into, like, started, and then you made a deal with your mom. I'm sure she didn't even, I'm sure no one would have even realized how big jujitsu would be, for you later on. And then you talk
Yeah.
about the competition side. So there's two things I want to, yeah, there's two things I want to kind of spin off of, if you will. So you mentioned that you
Yeah. Yeah.
started at a Grace University CTC, I'm assuming, correct? So,
Correct.
so who did you start with? And I'm curious to know, what was those first beginning classes like? Because I know for myself, I started in 2015.
Hmm.
Granted, I was also in my 20s when I started, so I feel like I was pretty mature uh, even then. And the way we think, the way we see the world changes every 5 years, they say. Um, so we can kind of conceptualize things. But I'm curious to know for you, Logan, what were the
Hmm.
first couple of classes like? Did it meet your expectation? That's the first question. And then you mentioned competing as a
Yep.
white belt. And, for those watching, like Logan said, it's kind of this stigma where, oh, Grace University, all they do is just self-defense. They just hand out belts online, which I feel like anyone that really knows jujitsu and, like, they study it for the right reasons. I don't care if you're, GU or not, they know what's up, and that's a whole, like, I could go on like a whole different, um, I guess tangent there, but I would love to kind of hear about your early days competing. So let's start with,
Yeah.
the CTC, and then let's
Hmm.
transition into the early times of grappling.
Yeah. So yeah, I started at a CTC in Salt Lake City, Utah. Um, the scene was small because the CTC I started at is the CTC that I later on ended up taking a instructor position and then teaching running classes. It was a CTC that only had blue belts
Yeah.
and no master cycle.
Mm.
So when I joined my first class again, yeah, 2013, it was like blue belt teachers, no MC, and you just jump in because you like the Gracie program. Now, I didn't know anything about the Gracie program, but my brother did his research, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Um,
Yeah.
the first year, first couple months, I thought it was cool, and me and my big brother have a great relationship, so I like going and doing something with him because he didn't skateboard, he didn't snowboard. What really hooked me though, Nick, was I was probably a one stripe white belt, and the school was small. I'm talking this whole school together was maybe 1,000 square feet, maybe 800 square feet of mat. So when someone walked into the front desk, they're right mat side immediately. And I remember I'm training, I get my first stripe, I'm on top of this guy, and we're practicing mount control, right? Anchor and base, standard.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly, bro. You know what's up. So
Oh yeah.
this lady walks in and she starts talking to the owner, and she looks over and she goes, "Oh man, if that little guy can hold down that big guy, this stuff probably actually works." I never even thought of it as like fighting, really. Like my brother's like, "We're gonna go learn how to fight," but when you get on the mats, it doesn't feel like fighting.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like you're in a fight. I'm just practicing the moves. I'm having a good time. When I heard this woman say that, it was like this epiphany, bro.
Yeah.
Because I all of a sudden was like, "Holy cow, I can hold this guy down." Right? I'm just practicing my jiu-jitsu moves, but no, like this stuff does work. And it took an outside source. It's funny how life is that way too sometimes. Like you have a certain
Sure.
feeling in you, but it takes someone saying it for it to really like click and hit. And that was the moment for me that I was like full throttle. The fact that I could hold somebody down, they couldn't get out. This guy's way bigger than I am. Jiu-jitsu works, I'm sold. So for me, it wasn't this magical first day. It was more this slow burn that eventually ramped up into like what it is for me now, right? Just this fire that's the leading source and North Star for the rest of my life. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how I guess, fell in love with jujitsu. My first few classes, coming back to it again, like I just liked it that I could learn moves and it was safe. I went
Yeah.
to a few different places. Most of them you're rolling the first day. One of them was kind of weird. The guy's like, "Oh, you don't know anything," and he just spins me around, and just starts like choking me. Right? Like, I don't know what's happening. I'm a teenager, so I liked the fact that it was very structured. I liked the fact that it was safe and that I could just do an activity with my brother. I wasn't there for any other reason, right? I wasn't there because I'm someone that was like a lifelong martial artist or I wanted to get a black belt one day. I just want to hang out with my big brother, and it ended up working out for me.
Yeah. No, dude, that's awesome. And it just reminded me of this thing that, my instructor Howard Steele enforces quite often in classes. And it's something that I know you appreciate, but it's how you describe your experience with your brother and how you just wanted to train because it was with him. It's social
Yeah.
proof, right? It's like people will do what people like them are doing. And sometimes sometimes that's all we need, right? It's just a little bit of motivation. But on the flip side, and as someone that's been helping, to run this business for the last 6 years now, people are also one step away from quitting. So if you
Yeah.
give someone a reason
Yeah.
to quit, they will. But if you give someone you like if you give someone a good reason to start, they will. But if you give someone good reason to quit, they also will too. So it's like this fine line. So for you, I'm glad that you talked about that outside perspective and how, dude,
Hmm.
you're so right. It's always after the fact. Dude, I watched something the other day and I actually made me kind of think of you and just and it was something that I wanted to bring up in this conversation. So I was doom scrolling and I saw this video of this kid. He was like, "Yeah, like if two jujitsu guys get into a fight, it's jujitsu versus jujitsu, but both people have to agree that it's jujitsu." And I'm like, "No, that's not how it works. Like you don't get to decide when I get to do jujitsu." And then you also mentioned
Yeah.
how like when you're training, it doesn't feel like fighting because it's how it's framed, right? It's the safety, it's the structure. But I don't think people give us enough credit in a sense where, like, I'll post a picture, like you'll post a picture. Oh, that's cool. Like, Nick's wearing his pajama bottoms again. He's just like
Yeah.
doing his thing. But I don't think people really like manifest the idea that, like, even though we're having fun, we are literally training every day for a fight. Meaning
Yep.
that, like, we are ready and prepared. If someone wants to close the distance, we are
Hmm.
just like we just happen to do it in an environment where it's safe, where to us it's just another day on the mat. But
Yep.
people that don't know that, they're like, oh, like these guys are actually training for a fight, which we are, but it's disguised repetition. It's not framed that way. So when I heard that guy talk about that, like, man, he has it so ass backwards, if you will, because
Yep.
people don't know what they don't know. And it's like Howard says to me all the time. It's like we train all the time in here against punches, against strikes, weapons sometimes. The last thing I want to do is go to a grocery store and fight someone. I know, like I can just train with you. The thing is, I can just train with my
Yep.
homies in here, and we can simulate murder, if you will, in the
Hmm.
safest, the most playful way. And I think that's a concept that people just don't seem to get because they think jujitsu is
Yeah.
like, oh, break his arm. I'm going to do this. Totally, totally, totally false. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you
Well,
shared
and
that
with
perspective.
that, like, it's funny because a couple things. Number one, what even is jujitsu? Because a lot of people, when they think of jujitsu, they think of what that gentleman is probably perceiving it as, which is no striking, grappling, going for submissions. But you and I both know that jujitsu is like this umbrella that within it exists a lot of different expressions of martial arts. And like you and I, right? When I think jujitsu, I think gi, I think no gi, I think gloves. These are things where I'm punching and kicking every single week, right? I'm grappling without the eye gouges every single day. And I think that the perception of jujitsu, you're either on one of two sides, where either you're on the mat and you've been there and you understand it, or you're off the mat where all you're seeing is like the memes and the jokes. And
Yeah,
that's something that really has changed. You made a comment at the beginning of our conversation about how the world changes every 5 years. This is something that has changed where this like jujitsu meme culture used to not exist the way it does now,
sure.
right? I think that obviously like Craig Jones had a big part to do with that, and
Yeah.
he's cool. Back in 2017, actually, sorry, random story. I was able to get a private from Craig Jones, bro,
Oh,
and
sick.
it was cheap, and it was like 2 weeks after he had that match with Gordon, and Gordon escaped the armbar,
Mhm.
and no one knew who he was, but he was dating some girl in the next town over, and he scared the crap out of me. It was the only time I've ever been scared doing jujitsu. So this comes back to your point as well about how it's fun, right?
Yeah.
I've never had somebody rip heel hooks and then freeze right before the knee snaps. And I was like cold sweats. It was crazy. It's the only time I've ever been scared demonstrating with somebody. Um, Super nice guy. Coming back to that though, the problem is when people kind of get too like goofy or silly when talking about jujitsu as a martial art,
Yeah.
that infects the uneducated. And that is where it's a little bit of a bummer. It kind of hurts my heart a little bit when people forget that jujitsu is a fighting martial art. And if you just want to do it on a Tuesday because it's your only form of activity because you work in an office, that's fine. But at its core, jujitsu is a fighting art. And I think that Gracie University does an amazing job of keeping that reality very true while also not pushing this culture that's too like bravado or like masculine, like just kind of environment that's not very friendly, right? It's a place you can go and have fun and you feel good about it, but you are actually learning real fighting techniques.
Yeah.
To me, that's the win-win, and I like that we can practice every aspect of jiu-jitsu that I feel like a lot of people are just missing out on.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. And yeah, cool story about you and Craig Jones. That's awesome that you had a chance to
Dude,
train with that.
I'll
And I
send you a
love,
picture after this. I'll send you a picture of us. Yeah.
yeah, that'd be sick things. I can include it in this video too, if you're down.
Dope,
But
dope.
I
Yeah.
love how you said like he was like right at the edge, if you will, and then he stopped, and then you were like, but super nice guy though.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought
No,
that was
super nice guy.
interesting.
Well, and you'll see in the videos, dude, it's funny because I'm wearing an ankle brace in that.
Mm.
Like I busted my ankle and he's just like inside heel hooks, man, on the busted ankle. And I'm like, looks like I'll get a knee brace to match it. All good.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and he's definitely someone that's really been in the mainstream as far as, promoting our promoting jujitsu in a way that I think makes sense to the everyday person. I mean, obviously we like you and I, we have a very different lens than the average consumer, and that's totally fine. It'd be no different than
Mhm.
like I like you I like the ukulele, but I don't know anything other than you just play it, but I don't have that insight, if you will. So jujitsu has definitely given me a much greater appreciation for things that I don't know
Yeah.
because I don't know much, but I do know jujitsu, and I'm okay at surfing. So there's two things right there that I can claim, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aside from the internal stuff, but yeah, and then jujitsu is very much more mainstream now, bro. And I'm glad that you said that
Yeah.
because I don't feel like I have to explain what jujitsu is to the average consumer. However, with that, like you said, it's like the media kind of controls how people think and perceive things. And man, dude, it breaks my heart with all the stuff that we see now today in the news with, the whole, um, I don't want to name any names, but the whole like, the scandals and all these different things that are happening, like inside different gyms, how students aren't feeling safe. That right there hurts jujitsu as well. Because if I never did jujitsu and I'm picking up an article about, oh, this instructor did this with this student, or whether it's true or not, someone's going to read it and be like, oh, well, great. I was going to go down there, like, and train, but now I see jujitsu is not even safe for myself, my kids, or whoever. And that
Yeah.
right there is hurting jujitsu. And people don't realize the ramifications of that. They think, oh, well, this is just only between me and this school. No, bro, you're affecting every jujitsu school, every practitioner, every person that does this the right way and they take it serious. But,
Hmm.
thankfully, as time fades, people forget, but people also at the same time don't forget. So,
Yeah. I think a big part of that, Nick, honestly, is like that's to me the way that you and I both identify with jujitsu. I do just feel that way, but like as a human being, like I feel like there are just parts of society and things going on that are not okay. And in my opinion, bringing things to light is actually the best thing that we can do, right? Because you should know if your neighbor is someone that has been charged with these heinous crimes, and you should know if there's a school in your area that's teaching kids classes or women's classes, if there is any type of uncomfortability that you should be aware of before you send your daughter there, right? And I think it's an issue in jiu-jitsu, but I also think like issue everywhere. I
Yeah.
think in all parts of society, we need to be better, and that means holding people accountable. That means um, offering support, right? And it also means that, like, hey, there are a lot of bad people, but there's a lot of good people too. And depending on which side you're on, you can find your people. Like, they will be there for you, whether that's on or off the mats.
Yeah, so true, dude. And I love how you also emphasize it's not just about jujitsu, it's the everyday people as well. But bro, how do you feel
Yep.
about, you know, about again, I want to be careful how I word this. When you take the
Mhm.
situations like I'm mentioning,
Yeah.
I have a tough time and I think we all fall victim to it. It's because we don't want to lose what we're doing and we don't want to lose what we've had, especially the connections. But how do you feel about the people that know what's happening, but they choose not to speak up because fear, it's that fear of retaliation, or it's more like, oh, I'm just going to stay in my lane. It has nothing to do with me. But then
Yeah.
after the fact, I'm seeing all these people exit out or leave from said organization, if you will. But then I scratch
Yep.
my head. I'm thinking it's like something doesn't add up because y'all knew what was going on. Because I don't know, just to see this mass exodus all of a sudden,
Bro.
and like we even saw
Yep.
it with GU. I mean, there's been a lot of
Yep.
schools that left GU for whatever reason. But I
Yep.
don't know. Like, I mean, what's your take on that, bro? How do you
Yeah.
conceptualize that?
Well, and just very quickly, just to clarify, GU is not the same circumstances as this other school. Just
Yes.
to be very clear,
Thank
and
you.
you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that, and I know that, but I just wanted to just say that for the podcast. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that.
so the I had the same thought, and I was talking to my girlfriend. She's also a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. She's great. Trained her up from the very beginning. Awesome. But I was
Love
talking
it,
to her
dude.
about it, and I was like, isn't it weird how these schools that have been with him for 10 years jump ship after 24 hours?
Yeah,
Because if
dude.
you're willing to jump ship that quickly, it's what you just said, which is you knew something was going on.
Hmm.
I would not be jumping ship from GU in 24 hours. I would want the facts. I want to know what happened. I want to understand the situation from all perspectives, right? But the people that are so quickly like willing to turn their backs, in my mind, those are people that knew something was happening or knew something was off, and they just weren't willing to be the first ones to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And that is cowardly, in my opinion,
Yeah.
right? I think it's extremely cowardly to just go with what is convenient. And too many people in life, they always just want to be very comfortable and content and just only do what's convenient. But at the end of the day, does that make you or your community or anyone that you ever interact with better? No, it doesn't, right? We should be not only like pushing ourselves, but pushing everybody around us to make the choices that's the best for everybody, not the selfish choices of, well, I can keep this logo on my gym because they're a huge affiliate and they win a lot of team trophies every time at the Mundials. We shouldn't be making those choices out of convenience. And I think that that is kind of where I lie with a lot of these affiliate breakoffs and this kind of like, you know, giant exodus of that affiliation.
Yeah.
Um, but for the people that were around and the people that knew, if there were people that did know and they did not, um, I guess, do anything about it, but like they did not really like offer any help or adjustments or like bring to light some of these very, very serious concerns, I think that those people are truly what is causing the problem that we're talking about. There's one individual that did a very heinous act, allegedly,
Hmm.
but the people that just stand by are the people that are causing the waves of the issues that we're running into, again, in jiu-jitsu and just in society.
Yeah. Because they tolerate it, and what you tolerate, you accept, and you don't even. Sometimes we don't even because it's quick because it's so easy to turn as they say, a blind eye, if you will. But it goes back,
Yeah.
and it goes back to something that I mentioned too. Like you give someone a reason to quit, they're going to, and maybe perhaps some of the groups of people that left, if you will, maybe whether they knew or not, that's a good reason to leave. So you
Yeah.
so you also have that side too. So it's
Yeah.
interesting, bro.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like, I
and
mean,
how,
go ahead.
not to cut you off, how do you feel though about like these? and this is everywhere, bro, but jiu-jitsu, you see it, especially with this situation.
Yeah.
When people just put out these like PR chat GPT like letters on their social media.
Oh, bro, don't even get me started, dude. So like I was just talking to someone about this the other day. It's not even about this topic, bro. Like AI has its benefits. Chat GPT has its benefits. I use it, but
Mhm.
very, very seldomly do I use it if I'm sending a text message. Like if I'm messaging you, I all my messages are usually voice messages, which is why sometimes my words don't add up or like I'm missing a comma, but I'd be like, here's like, hey Siri, text Logan. Hey Logan, comma, how are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
Question mark. So I literally say exactly what's in the text. But yeah, dude, it's like I'm at the point now, if I see a dash in any paragraph I read, nope, I discredit it. Okay,
Bro, you know, dude,
that
you
was
know.
totally
There
Chat
was
GPT.
Yep. There was one huge giant, both figuratively and literally, jiu-jitsu athlete that put out a post about his exodus against this with this affiliation. And the bottom paragraph, bro, he left in. He left in the bottom paragraph of ChatGPT where it's like this statement reinforces da 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 da, and it comes off in a way that's da da da. Left the full like prompt at the
Yeah,
bottom and posted it. And obviously, right, like English probably is not his first language, but still, there's something about it where I almost this isn't fair because you have to, and I'll probably need to do this for my business.
yeah,
But I almost will like look at a business where I'm like, if your entire online presence is a robot,
yeah,
I don't know who I'm getting when I'm with you in person.
yeah. That's so true,
And
dude.
that's a little bit of not a red flag, but it does keep me a little bit like on my toes versus when you see some Instagram of a jiu-jitsu school and it's a very like mom and pop shop and everyone's having a good time and they're posting stories and this and that, that just feels a lot more almost wholesome in a way that I want to be a part of that. That feeling is what I want to feel on the mats. And I feel like people are sometimes letting themselves get a little bit too distant between that online presence of, AI association and the reality of why you have a business in the first place.
Yeah, because it's
And
convenient. It's easy to just hop on Chat GPT. I
it's so
mean,
easy.
we fall
Yeah.
victim to it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, like you said, jujitsu is a very genuine connection type based art. So, and you can't lie about jujitsu, meaning like, I mean, you can say you're whatever belt online, but as they say, the mats don't lie. Well, in this case, Chat GPT lies in this case because I don't know, dude. Like, I feel you on that. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've thought about it that hard to really kind of have my own assessment on it, bro. But I'm also not in a position where I'm starting a business either. So maybe my mind would be a little bit different, but I don't think it would because I'm really good at articulating and conveying messages out without having to use a robot. But don't get it twisted.
Yep.
If I have an idea, I'll be like, hey, like ChatGPT, like, how do you feel about so and so? And then I'll read it,
Yep.
but I
Yep.
can like it's almost like an actor. I can read the prompt, I can read the script, formalize it how I want, and then articulate in a way where it's very genuine. I think people are losing that, bro.
Yeah.
The
You're using it as a
key.
source to like bounce information off of. And then
Yeah.
you can just better your own,
Yep.
perspective or the way that you want to come off. But it's not just doing the job for you. I hear you, bro. Sorry, not to get off into that tangent, but we
No,
can keep going.
no, dude, it's important. And things I'm glad you mentioned that because, these are like everyday, like real current problems, quote unquote, if you will, that, that we see, especially in today's time. And then, you ultimately asked the question how I felt or about these people that are putting up these statements, bro, it's not
Hmm.
and void. It's kind of like it's not even I don't want to say it's not valid because I'm sure there's some sentiment to it, but it's not genuine. I think that's the word. It's like, I mean, I
Yeah.
saw a statement that, said person put, and right away, like I always go to the comments. I love the comment sections, bro. But people were like, "Oh, well, I see I saw like, Chat GBD like came to the rescue again."
Yeah.
But not really,
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I
What?
think
How,
go
it's
ahead.
like the same. Like, how would you feel if I sent you a birthday message and it's all Chat GPT? You'd probably feel like I didn't think it was important enough to take the time.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, when it comes to this situation we've been referring to, what's more important than that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
You need
So
something genuine, bro, not some like even a video. Like, but again,
yeah, bro.
even AI's going crazy, bro. Like, what's
Yeah, if
real?
someone puts up a video statement, yeah, that's gonna be wild, bro. I have not seen that one yet, but that'd be
It's
wild. It's
coming.
coming.
It's coming though, bro. Yeah, man. Like what crazy times we're living in, bro. And I know I said earlier, like, I don't want this to be political, but man, like this is the raw, authentic conversations that, this platform's all about. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's but ultimately, bro, at the end of the day, regardless of how we feel or our take on it, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but in a sense where we're kind of so far off because we're only getting information that's been received based on what we see on a phone or what we see from, indirectly. We don't even know what's going on. That's the crazy thing. Same thing with the
Yeah.
media. It's like there's a song called I think by Bowling for Soup, and the song goes high school never ends. Bro, that's so true. High school literally never ends because you still got the drama, where you still got the clicks, you still got all this unnecessary crap that people are doing. And I think of that song all the time. I'm thinking, man, like there's really, people trying to be popular, people trying to do this or that, people just want to
Mhm.
fit in, but I don't know, dude. It's crazy, you
Well,
know.
and that's what's nice though. Like that's something that um with jujitsu specifically, what other activity for 2 hours are you not next to or on your phone or
Yeah,
available by phone,
yeah,
right? Even if I go golfing, I still have my phone in the cart. I still have people texting me and hitting me up in calls and everything else. Jiu-jitsu is the only thing that I do that my phone's not within one arm's reach.
yeah,
And thank goodness, right? And
yeah,
I've kind of curated my life in a way where I mean I'm on the mats for, 6 to 9 hours at a time. And it's great. And
yeah,
I love the fact that I don't need to worry about all that other stuff unless I want to,
yeah,
you know? And I need to be very careful with that because, again, like I was talking about previously, I don't want it to be that I'm ignoring things because it's convenient. I want to be educated. I want to be aware of the landscape of jujitsu and the world, right? But also, I don't need my day to be dictated by other people's days.
sure,
And so for me, jujitsu is great. You kind of talked about it before, but coming back to the community piece, um, how funny is it that it comes full circle? Where when you start jujitsu, it's not because you want to be a UFC champion. When you start jujitsu, it's because man, you just want to have a hobby. And how many guys, right? All right, how old are you, Nick?
I'm 35.
35. Okay, I'm 28, right? So how many guys between our age range they just start jujitsu because they want something to look forward to at the end of the workday. Or
Yeah,
they just start jujitsu because they realize like, hey, going out and drinking with my buddies every Wednesday probably is not the best move for me, right? How many people want jujitsu because there's a loneliness epidemic among males in America, and they just need to have that little bit of like brotherhood community feeling. And I would say, I know for me, I don't know about for you, I don't train every day, right? I'm in the midst of opening a school and I'm still training 6 days a week right now, right? I'm very grateful. I have some great friends that own schools here and I'm able to kind of stay busy, but I don't train 6 days a week for the past 10, 11 years because I care about getting better at fighting me, right? I train because for me, it's the best feeling of going somewhere where the rest of the world is outside, they're not on the mats, and I can just connect with the people that chose to show up and that community aspect of just seeing your friends. And so you kind of start with the community and then you get a little bit like jumbled of like what's important. And then near the end of the journey, you realize it's like, bro, I'm not showing up in training for the martial arts capacity anymore. I'm showing up for the martial arts capacity of like the art side, less than the martial side. If that makes sense.
yeah. No, dude, absolutely. I think that's a really good perspective. And you mentioned how, I think community overall was kind of the overarching theme there, for that message you just
Hmm.
that's conveyed. But something that I've also learned too, and something that you've learned and seen, and you'll definitely see it often now, as you open up your school. But we talk about the different seasons of life and how we see a lot of students come and go, and you form good connections. And you know something I've had to learn the hard way, Logan, is you become friends with people because, like you said, the community, it's very easy to do. And when you're in a position that we are, where we're blessed to be able to teach something that we love, it is cool when you meet someone. It's kind of like the same vibe, the same wavelengths, kind of very similar to, like, I feel very connected with you, which is why we can have these genuine talks. But then people leave, and then it's like a
Yeah.
repeat cycle. I'm like, oh man, like. Logan left. He went off to school, or he's a doctor now, whatever, which is great.
Yeah.
Which I think that's important because we should always be trying to elevate our own progression. But people don't consider that when they look at us as instructors. Like, oh, like Nick's he's an instructor, great, he's great. Boom. Then I never see
Yeah.
him again. I don't people like that's been one of the hardest things for me is to, like, not letting go, but accepting, like, it's like Howard said at ICP about the student that was talking about the blue belt and how the blue belt wanted to go somewhere else, and then Hedon was basically saying, Howard, like, you are not the instructor for everyone all the time. And that's
Yeah.
something that I've had to learn as well. It's like
Hmm.
I can be a friend from afar, but I might not be the instructor for everyone all the time. Eventually, at some point, people are gonna drift away. And if
Yeah.
it was a message I could convey to you as a young aspiring CTC owner, and I feel
Hmm.
very mature enough, sense to kind of understand, but like that is tough, man. Like you're gonna
Oh,
meet some
100%.
amazing people, and
Yeah.
maybe you've already experienced that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, well, and that's the thing, like just give a little bit of insight. So I went through the ICP January of 2017 at the old Gracie Academy on
Oh, sweet.
Artesia. So I've been teaching for a while and I've definitely had what you're talking about. And I think how I've came to terms with it is it makes me so grateful every day I train, whether it's teaching the kids, right? Teaching combatives, master cycle students I've had for years. And it makes me so grateful in that moment that each individual chose to be there because I don't know if they're going to be there tomorrow,
Yeah,
right?
true.
And I make sure that like when I'm teaching and just knowing you and your personality, you're probably the same, right? But like I make sure that I connect like verbally, physically with every single student that's on the mat in every single class that I teach. I'm
Yep.
not someone that just shows a move and then I just like sit on the side and like, all right, you guys, 2 minutes, come back. No, right?
Mhm.
Because who knows? Even if it's this two straight blue belt that I've been with for years, this might be their last class with me.
Yeah,
And I know that life continues to flow. And to me, it just makes it feel that much more amazing that every single day people are showing up. You don't know who's going to come in, and that might be their last day. So let's have the best class that we can, right? Let's have the best experience. Let's leave on a good note. Let's make sure that everyone knows that you care about them. And I'm not someone that's very like, I should probably be better about it, right? But I'm not like a very like openly like empathetic, like love for all, save the world type of person. Honestly, I just like jujitsu and hanging out with cool people.
yeah,
But I am willing to go the extra step of like, hey, if you're choosing to be here with me, I'm choosing to give you the experience and acknowledge you being here that like it was worth it. It was worth you not going out and drinking tonight.
yeah,
It was worth you skipping watching 2 extra episodes of Netflix with your wife. Like, I'm gonna make sure that it was worth it. And to me, that's kind of how I've came to terms with what you're describing, where it's a bummer and people come in and out of your life all the time. And you can be so grateful that you had them, even for a short period or a long period, because eventually one day you will not. That could be because they quit jujitsu. It could be because they move. It could be because of a breakup. It could be because somebody dies. But regardless, what an amazing thing. I love that me and you can have this podcast right now and we have this moment forever,
yeah.
right? So that's kind of how I feel about it. But yeah, man, it does suck.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's I've gotten better with it over time, and just that's one of the reasons why I love going back to the instructor certification programs to kind of to bring this back full circle. So we're certified, and you said in 2017.
Yep.
Um I was 2020. I was January 2020 right before the world shut down, So
Dang, bro. All right.
yes. Yes, I was fortunate to be able to,
Yeah.
get my picture taken with the Gracies before, I think everyone had to wait like 2 years or something. But
Yeah. Yep.
anyways, something that I really love about the gatherings that when we're all together and even this past cycle back last month is just hearing all the different stories from other instructors and you brought up some great points. You shared a great wall drill that we just implemented last week. I sent you that picture and
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that with me.
yeah, man, and like I appreciate you sharing that, and like you don't like, and so I'm just gonna be very transparent. For those watching,
Yeah.
if you belong to an organization or a group of like-minded people, if you have any opportunity or chance to go back, even just to research or just to watch or just be a part of the conversations, 1000% take those opportunities. And here's why. You might already think you know what you're supposed to, but of course, you'll get better. Like you should leave better than you did coming in. But to really harp on this idea of like these conversations, bro, I don't know about you, but when we're in the conference room, right, at
Mhm.
Torrance, at headquarters, and just to kind of paint a picture for everyone watching, so as instructors, or even so you have certifying instructors that are certifying for the first time, then you have recertifying, which was us. And then, we're sitting in this conference room and everyone is sharing their input. And something that I love about Henry Hedon is that they really embrace the feedback system, something that as instructors, we also make sure that we are also doing the same, but at a micro level, but at a bigger scale level, a lot of these instructors were saying like, "Oh, at my school, I'm having this problem, I'm having that problem," or "At my school, this works for me." And like, I remember sitting next to Howard, I'm like, "Bro, we don't have that problem." And then something else, "Yeah, bro, we don't have that problem." And it's just, you know what it is though, bro? Like, we're all instructors, but at the core of it, I'm sure you would agree. I know you agree because like, again, like I see it in you. It takes a very special person to teach with passion
Yep.
instead of it being so robotic. It's like, yeah, because
Mhm.
we've seen instructors go through it and they're good. I'll say that. But there's a really fine line between people that are just ordinary and extraordinary. And it really is that little extra. And I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but when I hear these ordinary instructors talking about these problems that seem so small and minute, like how is that a problem at your school? But then I have to remember, not everyone thinks the way I do. Not everyone thinks the way you
Yeah.
do. So I think that's
Yeah.
what really it's almost like it's almost like a teeter-totter effect. That's what separates the good CTCs from the like, yo, like that's an
Yeah.
elite school right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Like, what's
and
your take on that?
bro, like 100%. And I have a few opinions. Number one, I love sitting behind Howard, and he's usually in the front wherever we are,
Yep.
because I think he's hilarious. Because
He
that
is.
dude, with only seeing the back of his head, you know what face he's making.
Yeah.
You feel me? And I just think he's awesome. Anyways, couple thoughts with that, right? And then I'd love to get into a little bit more of my background because it will kind of explain some of the perspectives I have.
Sure.
So I find that number one, the majority of the issues that schools run into is because they are not doing what they're told.
Facts.
There is a page in the manual or a link in the knowledge base that has the answer to your question, but you're not implementing it.
Yeah.
And I believe that the majority of those issues, which is now going to be this self fulfilling prophecy, is you are in a survival mindset for your business. You say, well, I can't lose this student. I need the extra $120 at my school in, freaking wherever you are, Illinois. And so I'm not going to force the student to wear a gi to class because I need that membership money. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, well, how come no one's wearing gis? How come you're not profitable? How come you're not selling retail? Right? Because at the end of the day, it's not about the profit, but it's a business, and business needs money to stay open so we can share jujitsu. Right. And so that's kind of something where I'm like, unless you're following the manual to a T, let's not branch out with like our opinions or our ideas of like how the school should be ran. It's your school, do whatever you want. But if you want the people's help, maybe listen to their advice. I have a really hard time giving people advice that I know when they aren't going to listen to it. Like,
Yes.
I'm not going to waste my breath. I have there's this student at a friend's school that they always want to ask me advice, right? And I'm happy to share with anybody.
I can
But the
already see where it's
funniest thing
going.
about
I can
bro, the
already.
funniest thing about this student is no matter what I say, they're gonna tell me an excuse or a reason as to why they're not gonna go with what I said. And
Yeah.
I say that's fine. But at the same time, too, this is 30 minutes that I could have been home cooking dinner for my girlfriend. You feel me?
Yeah, dude. I
Like,
feel you.
I'm a person too. And
Yeah.
so when we're at the gatherings, it's interesting because, yeah, there's a lot of these schools that they're in survival mindsets. They're making these choices. They're doing things that at the end of the day, if you just stuck to what Henner and Hedon laid out for you and you didn't try to deviate because you think you can do it better than this corporation that's worldwide with hundreds of successful CTCs, bro, I don't know what to tell you, right? Two, this kind of comes back to my background.
Yeah.
So I until recently Okay. I've been training again 13 years. For about 12 of those years, I was never at a CTC that had higher than a blue belt in the school. And part of why that is when I came up, I got instructor certificationship. I ended up taking a teaching role, and the owner of the school stopped training and teaching.
Mm,
And so for years, I was teaching classes. I took the school from, I think we had 90 students, and I think I got us up to like 180 something. And it ended up creating this situation that was very awkward because here in the valley, we had a handful of CTCs, all blue belts, no purples, no browns, no black belts.
mhm,
And we ended up being blue belts forever, bro, because like I was a blue belt for over 8 years
mm,
and I was training 5 to 6 days a week. And I did the math on it. It's funny because someone asked me, and I'm like, I've never thought about this in my life. Like, I don't care. But someone asked me, and I did the math on it. And I spent somewhere between 8 to 9,000 hours of mat time as a blue belt.
yeah,
I was like, this is crazy. So, why I bring all that up is I did not come up in a situation of like very successful CTCs.
sure.
My entire journey was like CTCs that are like struggling by, can't break 100 students, this and that. And long story short, I ended up going out. I got promoted to my purple belt from San Fernandez,
Yeah,
and that created a bit of a
shout out to him.
rift.
Yeah,
He's the man, bro. He's the man. That created a bit of a rift as well as some other, um, not to get too into it, I'll just say business decisions between the owner and I.
mm,
And so I ended up leaving for multitude of reasons, but that being one of them.
jealousy?
Um,
I don't know.
it got it got very uncomfortable.
Mm,
And what happened is, I ended up leaving. When I left, I taught all the classes. I taught 25 classes a week for that school plus private lessons. 2 months later, that school shuts down, which is
mm,
why I'm now opening a CTC in the territory, and I have a wait list, and it's amazing. I'm stoked. Coming back to it, it wasn't until I left about a year ago that I was able to kind of get some mentorship from people outside of this world that I was living in, which was like survival mindset.
yeah,
And I have two amazing mentors that I'm very grateful for, and I just want to shout them out real quick. Jake Johnston, he
yeah,
runs St. George.
yep,
Jake Johnston truly changed my perspective in terms of like it's not just that like it's about jujitsu, but like it's a business that can be ran in a way that can be successful. And honestly, all you gotta do is follow the manual, bro.
yeah.
The other that I'm super grateful for, and I'll be real with you, straight up, probably this is a bold statement, Nick, and I'm just sticking by it on video right now.
Yeah,
Probably the best human being I've ever met. Cameron Burbank runs Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Indio,
yeah,
and he is a human, let alone jujitsu or anything else, business owner, whatever. He is someone that truly has like opened doors for me in terms of what is capable for running a business like this, as well as just like potential as a person, as an individual that wants to like open a school, right? Be a leader. And I had this amazing moment at this last ICP where I went to dinner with some of like the, I don't want to say elites, but like higher ups with Grace University, right?
sure.
We had gentlemen like Adam,
Yep,
who were just
shout
on
out
the
to him.
podcast,
Yep, I heard.
right? We had the head grader, Cameron. We had a bunch of successful CTC owners and also staff and employees of VU.
Sure.
And I'm sitting at this table and I was like, man, this is the first time that I'm sitting at a table talking about jujitsu with people that are running schools the way that the rest of the 90% want to run their school,
Yeah,
right? And I feel like this is where it ties into the question about like lower level instructors, higher level instructors, right? A lot of times, lower level instructors are just waiting to be told what to do. And they won't make the changes for their business or for their class until they get permission.
yeah,
Higher level instructors understand all the rules They understand what the procedures are, what the protocols are. When you're talking systems, bro, it's like
It's night and day.
Cameron,
Oh yeah.
bro, Cameron Burbank, the systems, I go spend like 4 days with him before ICP. I'll go stay out with him a couple times and work together, like from wake up to like go to bed, right? Like we'll wake up, meet in his kitchen, eat, and we're just talking jujitsu, talking everything. The systems this guy has, where I'm so used to a culture of like something goes wrong. It's like, what do we do? And the conversation is one text where it's like, I don't know. What do you think? Versus like, I'm talking to Ray, who runs Tri Cities,
Shout out to him.
and
Love Ray.
bro, the man. And he goes, oh, actually, Logan, check this out. I have a whole matrix. And he pulls up his entire like matrix of this like formulas of how to like gauge prices and this and that. Dude, you just got to be thoughtful.
Yeah.
You need to have a reason. You need to have a why behind the what, just like in teaching jiu-jitsu, right? You need to have a why. And then you need to stick, like, be steadfast and stick with what you should be doing instead of what's convenient. Because what's convenient is why it's crippling your business. What's convenient is why you're complaining at ICP. What's convenient is why your school's not as successful as you want it to be. You need to run your business like a business. And the problem is a lot of people open schools just because they love jujitsu and not because they have any business running a business.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Well,
love for
that's just my opinion.
jujitsu, dude, I love it. And the love of jujitsu won't save you. You got to love the business and you got to think outside the box, like you said.
Dude,
Now, dude, that's awesome that you've been fortunate to be surrounded by, like you said, like around the dinner table, if you will. And dude, I had
yeah,
yeah, so huge shout out to those guys. I think they're amazing, especially Adam. He's definitely someone
dude.
like, dude, like I'll be in the room and you've been there. It's kind of like,
Mhm.
it's like 2 hours in, everyone's getting tired, and
Yeah.
then as soon as Adam talks, I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I should probably like listen to this, or
Tune in real quick. Yeah.
like
Well, and
Howard's the same
for
way,
me,
know?
yeah, not to cut you off real quick. For
No,
me,
you
like
good.
two things. Jake Johnston and Adam as well. The reason I like them so much is they're also like no BS.
Yeah,
Like you need people that care about you where they'll tell you what is true and what matters.
yeah,
And that for me is very important because we are in a people business where like everyone's like very motivating when you're teaching class, right? It's like everyone's doing a good job and this and that. But when it comes to like these real conversations, when it comes to your business, I like that Adam and also Jake are someone that are going to be very raw and real. And I
yeah,
think that we need a little bit more of that.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it shows because I mean, look at Adam, very, very successful. Just opened up a brand new school in Phoenix. Dude, killing it, dude.
So
Killing it.
sick.
Yeah,
So
dude.
sick.
I love it.
Everybody wants gray mats now, bro.
Yeah. I know, dude. Um, So yeah, we got on a like a really awesome tangent about just the CTCs, and we talked a little bit about the I guess the political stuff that's going on. And the second part of my question, going back, not to negate what was
Yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
but I also did want to make sure that this was touched. So when we talk about Grace University and just I guess the overall perception, and I feel the perception or the general understanding is getting a lot better now, due to social media. Um, and I love when I see like, CTC owners posting stuff about not just the classes, but they talk about why their school is successful, almost like a testimony. So I feel like, I don't know, dude. I feel like honestly, in the next 50 years, if people are not with Grace University or doing something, if not with G or something similar, they're going to just be so far, far behind. And I've had conversation with this with a lot of people. Um, but I did want to kind of circle back before we kind of dive into another topic is I know
Yeah,
you
yeah.
competed as a white belt. Now, I
Yeah.
do have a question for you there because this came up pretty recently at our school, and it has in the past. And we do really good at regulating it. But I know you competed as a white belt, and I don't want to assume, but you might not have had the actual grappling experience that you would get, let's say, at a sports school. And just to be
Yep.
very, very, very clear, I don't want to assume, I don't want people to think, I'm anti-sport. No, no, I love it all because there's
Yeah.
relevance for all of jujitsu. It's how it's presented and the indicator. That's all. Everything is situational. So there is a difference between street self-defense and sport. And if you think otherwise, then you need to reevaluate and really watch Grace University and then watch the IBJJF because
Well, and honestly, the difference is mindset.
Correct. And the indicator
Because there's
base.
techniques that can work, that self-defense techniques, sport techniques that can work interchangeably. But I'm with you. I follow. And the biggest difference is mindset. So yeah, keep going.
And
Sorry.
punches. No, no, and punches. Because everything changes once there's punches. And something that we say constantly in the combatives class is two questions that you need to ask yourself. Am I punch protected? And
Yep.
can I improve my position? And if the
Yeah.
answer is yes, you're good to go. Now,
Yeah.
in a sport match, or even when we're grappling in master cycle and it's not a fight sim class, that's a little bit
Hmm.
different. But the problem is we can't get too far away from why we're there in the first place. So anytime I'm grappling Logan, I don't care if
Yeah.
it's sport, I don't care if it's a little fancy Minari roll. I do it, I play it. Hey, why not?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't do anything so far off where if Howard says, "All right, top persons, start throwing punches," best believe I'm never far away from punch protection, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
You don't
So
go back to blue belt all of a sudden. Yeah, I hear you.
no, no, dude.
I
So
hear you.
so I'm curious for you, bro. When you started competing, what was that like?
Yeah.
Did you train for that, or did you just say, "Hey, I'm gonna enter a
Dude.
tournament. I'm 15, 16.
Yeah.
Let's
Dog,
go."
I got to tell you. So it's nuts because I competed for years. Like I competed through white and blue belt. I have multiple like state championships here in Utah.
Oh, sick.
Like
Okay.
did great. I think the worst I've ever done in a tournament was silver, mostly golds, double golds, all this. It sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm going to tell you why. Okay. I came up with a school with only combatives, no MC.
Yeah.
So as a white belt, what it was is we would watch the combatives videos as a group in practice. So I'm a white belt. We're watching combatives videos online, practicing the moves. I go and compete in a tournament, and I told you the worst thing that could happen happened. I took gold in my first tournament against these sports schools. And these guys all talking online about handing out blue belts and GU and whatever else. I'm like, I'm gonna keep doing this, bro. So I didn't have like a coach that was like a coach. We didn't even have sparring. We're just doing combatives, watching the online videos, bro.
Yeah.
And it sounds crazy, but like I posted some of this on my social media years ago, 10 years ago. And it sounds crazy, but like the only thing that we had is like we'd practice and then like me and some of the other white belts would like roll a little bit. Like for I'm talking like 5 minutes at the end of class, like before we get kicked out. And I did this for years, bro. And then what happened was state championship 2016 is when I got my blue belt.
Mm,
Summer 2016. Okay. And I was blue belt for over 8 years after that. Um,
that's crazy.
yeah, I go out, same strategy, bro. Watch the combatives videos, roll with my buddy for like 5 minutes after class, and we do it. I wasn't like, I'm not into like fitness or anything else. I was like a skater kid that just turned into a jiu-jitsu guy, right? And I ended up taking double gold, gi and no gi. On the podium, one of my coaches, blue belt, comes up and wraps a blue belt around my waist on the
Mm,
podium. Okay.
hmm.
I didn't realize I took my combatives test because back then you went straight to blue. There was no combatives belt.
It was a technical blue belt. Yep.
Yeah. Right. So I did my combatives test, I guess, like just while we were training, because I was training there all the time. So like it wouldn't be unusual for my coach to be like, oh, let's just film this drill. Let's film this drill. So I
Yeah.
guess they submitted it through. My family didn't have a lot of money, so like I wasn't gonna like pay to submit it. Like, so I didn't even ask. I guess that my coach coordinated with my mom, which was dope. Um, but wraps around and all the other school owners are there and they're looking at me on the podium and bro, like they're so perplexed because one, they're thinking, why is this blue belt promoting someone else to blue belt?
Was he wearing a blue belt when he was promoting you?
Yes, bro. He competed second place in blue belt division same day.
Okay.
Okay. So there's these owners that I know are talking crap about us online. I know they are. They have a blue belt tying another blue belt around a white belt at this tournament. But on the other end, I'm standing in the first place spot and I got two gold medals around my neck. So what are they going to say?
Yeah.
That moment for me very much was clear about I know the type of training we're getting, even if it's through videos, even if it's you can't learn jiu-jitsu online, which by the way, when COVID happened, every jiu-jitsu instructor came out with something online, just to be clear.
And even
Right?
before COVID, even
Yeah,
before
yeah.
COVID. Yeah.
Bro, they were ripping it. But yeah, during COVID, like every single person had like their online suit. Anyways, it was very clear of like, I know what's happening here. I know the worth of these videos. And obviously, I now have proof of concept.
Yeah.
And I kept doing that. I competed for years as a blue belt and I did great. I was winning tournaments, this and that. The funniest thing though is like, I think I stopped and I got into the teaching role more so because I was teaching kind of crossover for both. I remember the last time I competed was like 2022, maybe 4 years ago.
Hmm.
And I remember I was on the podium. They put a medal around me, gold medal. And when I got it, it was the first time, Nick, that I felt nothing.
Yeah.
Very first time. And it was so funny how I used to like chase this high of like winning as a teenager. And even though I was still like, mid early 20s, it didn't come close to the sense of like fulfillment that I got from sharing jujitsu. And I have a weird relationship with tournaments and like competition because I actually don't encourage my students to compete. If my students want to compete, I'll let them know. It's like, oh yeah, like if you want to compete, like I know a buddy who's a local promoter, we can set you up for an MMA fight. And they're always like, well, I don't want to do MMA. I want to do jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, yeah, but what you're learning is you're going to do better in an MMA fight than a jiu-jitsu match right now because
Yeah.
you're learning more against punches than that. And they know me. They know my story. And they're like, well, you did it. And I'm like, that's true. And I'm not special. Like, I'm not someone we've met, bro. I'm not super athletic. I'm not like physically gifted. I'm not freaking Bernardo. All right, bro. I'm not like 6'6" Brazilian, Greek god cut.
Yeah.
But what I tell people is I'm like, look, the only reason that that worked for me is because I was training 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And I made up for the deficits and I was able to adjust the mindsets because I'm only studying and thinking and breathing and living jujitsu, where we are falling short when it comes to sport in terms of understanding rules and time limits and point systems. We don't teach that at our school. So we are coming short in that aspect.
Yeah.
Are you making up for that in your own time? Because if you're not, it doesn't make any sense. You do karate.
Yep.
Am I saying it right?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Karate. Yep. Yep.
Would it make any sense that I put a gi on in jiu-jitsu and I go enter a karate tournament?
Would not make sense.
But people think jiu-jitsu is just jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
So I don't encourage students to compete. I don't encourage competition. I don't even care about competition.
Yeah.
When you walk into my school, I'll tell you this, you're not going to see any of my gold medals hanging up. I don't care
Hmm.
because it's the type of situation that it's very selfish
Yeah.
and it's very short-lived.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the black belt one day that is broken and in pain for the rest of my life because I wanted to win some $6 medals when I was 30 years old.
Hmm.
I don't want to be that guy. I want to be able to tie my belt and walk on the mat and share jiu-jitsu for the rest of my life. So that's kind of how my jiu-jitsu journey went. Used to compete white and blue belt for years. I did well, very happy. I'm not a world beater. I'm not a freaking world champion. I'm not the best in the world by any means. But for a local jiu-jitsu circuit in Utah, it was fun. I'm over it now. I don't really have any interest. And when students ask me that tell me they want to compete, I turn them more toward MMA. Honestly, my classes will design you more toward an MMA fight than a jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
dude.
most people don't want to do that.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome. And I love how you really emphasize the point where you competed, and then you might have students that want to compete as well, and then you're giving them the option like, hey, let's do an MMA fight because it seems more suiting. But I've seen situations firsthand where you have an instructor that was competing. Well, I can share one kind of here locally, kind of indirectly.
Yeah,
This guy was a world champion, like an IBJJF world champion, no gi, and he like won Pan Ams. And for a while, that was his identity. He really identified himself as a competitor. He would post like, "Oh, I'm traveling up to Philly. I'm going to all these tournaments. Great." And he obviously cared about jujitsu and cared about his life. And it's your prerogative, with what you
yeah,
want to post. But now, like so many years later, going back to the black belt that's broken down, just can hardly move. And just to be clear, I haven't seen this individual in about like 5, 6 years. So I don't know the state of it of what he's in, but I can say just based on my own understanding of jujitsu and how it is tough on the body, he was competing at a high level. So now, right to my understanding, he doesn't like his students don't compete. And it's not because they don't want to, but from what I've heard, they don't compete because he doesn't compete. So going back to that selfish mentality, it's like, no, if we have students that want to compete, compete. But I love how you said that you had an opportunity, Logan, where you're training 6 days a week, but you also
Hmm.
educated yourself on the rule set. That's the
Hmm.
difference. And that's something that, that just reminded me, like, yeah, if someone wants to compete, have at it. Just know the rules. And I think
Yeah.
that's a big missing part of it. So I'm glad that you
Yeah.
reminded me of that. And I think that's a really, really good perspective. It's like we never want to stray our students from doing anything that they think is fulfilling because it's their journey, not ours. But you can take the experience that you've learned
Yeah.
and say, hey, it was fun, but just understand it's only, like you said, $6 medal. Is it really worth it in the end?
Well, and especially it's cool when I'm 18 years old and I have no responsibilities.
Yeah,
But I'm talking to a student that just had their third baby and they're the breadwinner for their whole family.
yeah.
And you lay freaking drywall for a living, bro.
Mm,
So are you going to go and compete and risk injury? Because injuries happen. You don't want it to. But like, I've never been. This is one of the biggest flexes, Nick. I'm going to flex right now for everybody. But
yeah.
there's going to be a reason. 13 years in jiu-jitsu. We're both brown belts.
Hmm.
I have never had an injury that's taken me off the mat, ever.
Same.
And I'm not going to, right?
Yeah.
How many brown belts can say that? Because when you talk to most people, they're saying, oh, well, I mean, by brown belt, you're pretty beaten up, like you're trying to come back, injuries and that. Not where we do jiu-jitsu, bro. That's not the case.
Yeah.
But coming back to it.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to this guy and I'm like, is competing worth it for that? Because I know that for me, like straight up, I've broken arms in competitions where people don't tap and you hold it and you go slow. And I'm not a freaking dick, but like I'll just keep applying until the rest stops. And I've like broken like three people's arms. And are you willing to go through that in a competition where there's people that are hungry like 20-year-old me versus you doing jiu-jitsu once a week and yet you want to go compete against these like young killers essentially for your age group and division?
Yeah.
Like to me it doesn't make much sense. The juice is not worth the squeeze. If you're
Yeah.
a young guy and you have no responsibilities and it's fun, go do it. But if it can affect the way that you can make money for your family, I would not suggest that for anybody,
Yeah.
right? Because you are not who you look up to. I'm not Henner and Heat on Gracie. You are not Hoffa Mendez. You are not Gordon Ryan. And I know that it seems cool right now, but you're not that person and you don't have the lifestyle that is required for that type of commitment.
Yeah.
And that is where, like, I don't want students to ever feel misled. Coming back to the black belt, that's all broken down, right? I love that story that you told.
Hmm.
When I was teaching at the old CTC I used to be at for years, okay? I was teaching all the classes, head instructor, this and that. We had about 4 black belts within a 5 mile radius of us, school owners. Okay. The guys that, when you go on their social media, it's all podium pictures. When you walk into their gym, it's medals hung up. Like
Hmm.
you can see what the priority is. People show you what their priority is,
Yep.
right?
Yep. I agree.
And it's interesting how, why is it that as a blue belt with no black belt in sight and no one higher as a coach on the mat other than myself and then fellow blue belts that I worked with,
Hmm.
why is it that we had 180 people coming to us with, if within a 5 mile radius there's 4 black belt schools that all are struggling around 100 students?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you this, it's not because of me. I'll tell you that much. It's because there's a system that works for people.
Yeah.
And most people are not fighters, they're not competitors. They get lured in because it seems so attractive online, but they're not that person. You are not the person that you look up to, you yourself. And I offered a product, the same product you offered, the same product that we can guarantee at Gracie CTCs, which is we will offer a product of you can learn jujitsu in a way that it fits into your life without having to sacrifice everything else.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's why a random blue belt in Utah can have that many students, even being surrounded by black belts. And I'm not the only story. There's a lot of schools that did way better than I did, right? And now hopefully
I think of the Houston
I'll be able to
Control
make,
Storm.
yeah, I'll be able to make some of the business
They're all
calls. Now
back.
it's gonna be my school.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
And you have so
it's
many
just
life
something to think about.
experiences. Yeah.
It's
And
just something to think about. Yeah.
I agree. And like, bro, your CTC, like you're already wavelengths ahead of the average person that wants to open a CTC, not because you're a brown belt, just because of your
Hmm.
experience. So, yeah, man.
Yeah,
So let's
dude.
talk
And
about,
I'm so grateful for that. Like it's crazy because I'm still opening up and I have a wait list, right?
yeah, I want to talk
And
about that. Yeah. So, like, I'll talk about your
yeah,
school and, like, when, like, yeah, when all that's supposed to be projected.
yeah. So I'm actually currently I'm in lease negotiations, which sucks. But you got to do it. And they sent over a lease that was not quite what we agreed on, so they're going to rewrite it and send it back over. But
Mhm.
yeah, I have a wait list right now. Super excited. It's going to be a small school. I think that a lot of gyms and also restaurants fail because they go way too big, and also
Yeah.
because it's just like a passion project. And I'm very clear with everybody. I'm like, this is not a passion project. This is a business, and it's going to be
Yep.
ran like a business.
Yep.
Um, even though jiu-jitsu is my whole life. And yeah, small school. We're gonna have like minimal mat space. I think the whole place is like maybe 1,500 square feet. But I currently have a wait list. As of now, I have like 114 people pre-signups, which is
Damn.
great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm really excited to share jujitsu in the way that I understand it. And I think that everyone's journey is very different, but I'm so grateful that for the past 13 years, I've had so many amazing people taking the time to share with me. And it would almost be a disservice for me not to let their information live on into others.
Mhm.
So, the whole reason I'm doing this, man, one, I train every single day except for Sunday. I train every day. So, I'm going to be training regardless. I may as well have a school. Two, teaching is for sure my purpose, right? And I keep using that word, right? One of my favorite formulas is, which I'm sure you've heard, it's like wherever passion meets service, that's where you get purpose.
Yeah.
So it's my passion and it's in service. It's my purpose for sure. Um, and I don't want all of the knowledge that I've been shared to go to waste. I don't want to get wasted on me, right? I've had so many conversations with heat on conversations with his grandfather, with people like Cameron in Indio, right? The elite CTC, the head of CTC support worldwide, people like Jake Johnston, people like Adam. I don't want all of this information to die with me. And I know that it won't, but I feel like I need to push that forward almost just as a thank you for the people that were willing to invest into me.
Yeah.
And that's the plan, bro. We're going to let it rip. We're offering a full lineup of GU classes. Again, I've been teaching I have like 10 years of teaching experience, certified for 9, and I'm really excited. The only class we're not offering right now is women powered,
It's coming though.
but all the women are still welcome to come to combatives. We'll get women powered going. My girlfriend, who's a blue belt, she's gonna be spearheading that one for us
Nice, dude. Dude,
once she
that's
gets
so,
certified.
yeah, that's so
Yeah,
exciting.
so super stoked.
Yeah, man. And I feel like, it's I love how you said earlier, it's like you aren't like you're not who you look up to, but at the same sense, like you're not the school that you look up to as well, meaning that everyone's
Yeah.
journey is different and but you can use those learning experiences. And I feel
Hmm.
like you're at a like you're at the part now in your journey where it only makes sense to open up a school because you have all this experience behind you. Man, I feel for the those brand new fresh blue belts that wanting to open up a school, but they have zero teaching experience and they just see
Yeah.
the model and they just see GU and like I've heard people say at GU like, "Oh, this is like turnkey." Bro, it's not. It is
No.
not turnkey. It's not
No.
it's not an overnight
Yeah.
success.
No. I mean, bro, like I was saying, I've been teaching for 10 years. I have a pre-sign up list of already over 100 students.
Yeah.
I'm still stressed out, bro.
Mhm.
Like, I feel for these people. I know that like I'm not the best jujitsu teacher, but I know that teaching's the best thing I can do out of anything else I can do in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like that is my strongest thing, right? And even with that experience, even with the student base, it's like, no, there's a lot of the fact of like, you're still the one opening this business. I'm
Yeah.
still the one signing for this insurance. I'm still the one opening these LLCs. I'm still the one like filing for all these documents. And they have you locked and loaded, but at the end of the day, you got to pull the trigger and you better make sure you don't miss.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
feel
dude.
me?
That's so true, dude.
So that's kind of where I'm at with things. But I mean, the brown belt was killer. You were there,
Yeah,
and
dude. That's so cool, dude, because yeah, because I just got my brown belt in December and
yes, yeah,
you James, who else? Oh, he's from CTC Madison, Alabama. Forgive me, but I'm like I met him a while back too, but like super nice guy. But I was just thinking like, man, it's gonna be a clutch black belt test when we're all kind of hopefully in the same December
Bro.
class.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I'd love nothing more than that. Yeah. But yeah, good things like
Oh,
it's kind of
CJ
crazy
Gannon.
because
Yeah, sorry, his name is CJ.
got it.
Yep. Yep, he
Dope.
went to school
Dope.
down in Madison, Mississippi.
Okay.
Y-
Killer.
Yep,
Oh,
he also
we were
got his
talking. He
brown
has a
belt.
boat. He have a
Yes, yeah,
boat.
yes,
Yeah, we
yep.
were talking about his boat. He said he'd take me out if ever we go down. Yeah, great guy. Great guy.
Yep.
But yeah, brown belt's huge. I'm stoked for it. Like I'm the highest ranking GUFM right now, and I'm excited that I can have that with like in my city, obviously, right?
Mhm.
But I'm excited that I can open my school like with that and be able to show that for over a decade, I feel like some students didn't feel like they had a path, and that kind of goes along with like students leaving sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Because there was a lot of students that left, but they're like, "Hey, Logan, like I've been training under you for 7 years, and like there's only blue belts here."
Mhm.
And like that sucks, bro. It hurts. And I knew that my teaching was good and I knew my jiu-jitsu was good, but I'm like, yeah, bro, like I feel you. I hear you. And just showing my students like there is a path forward, like we all can get to black belt one day and beyond. That's really important to me. Before I forget too, like one is my student, and then one is a guy that we were coming up together, went through ICP together. There's a couple CTCs here in Utah now that, just to be clear, I want to clarify, they are purple belt ran CTCs. They're no longer just blue belt ran CTCs.
Yes, yeah, so shout out to Spencer. Yeah.
Spencer, yep,
Yep.
and Ryan Greer in South Jordan. Their
Yeah.
schools are awesome. Their schools are doing well, like killing it. And I just want to clarify that real quick because I was talking about like my times coming up, not the current landscape necessarily.
Sure.
But
I know what you
that was
meant,
a
but yeah,
huge
thanks. Yeah.
surprise, bro. Like, it was crazy. You kind of saw, like, I went from one stripe purple belt
Yeah.
straight through, and I talked to some of my students, and it kind of this is a weird comparison, but I think like you'll follow with me if I communicate this correctly. There's a story about like Picasso, and he went to this restaurant, and this woman was like, "Hey, like, will you draw me something on this napkin?" So he took 5 minutes, he drew it, he gave it to her. He said, "That's gonna be $40,000."
Mm.
She goes, $40,000? It only took you 5 minutes. And he goes, "If it only took 5 minutes in a napkin, you would have done it." Okay. I feel like for students around the world that are at CTCs or they're at schools that maybe they feel like they're getting like passed up or held back or whatever it was, right? I was a blue belt for 8 years, but I was a purple belt for less than a year and a half.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, your hard work will 100% be worth it. And you will find people that will recognize the work that you've put in. And that's kind of what I want to share because I feel like jujitsu sometimes the hard thing about jujitsu is it can be a little bit like it can weigh on you a little bit when you have a promotion and your buddies get promoted and you don't, or you feel like you should be somewhere and you're not. But at the end of the day, keep working hard. I've never asked for a promotion in my life. I've never had a coach that could give me a belt. And these things happen because the universe at some way will figure it all out, right? Like it will end up evening out the odds
Hmm.
at some point. And so I think that for some of the smaller CTCs, keep that in mind. Even if you're a CTC owner and you are a blue belt in the middle of nowhere, keep putting that work in, keep doing what you should be doing because I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a day that someone's going to come and see it and recognize it. And that hard work is not for nothing. And
Yeah.
if you're at a school that doesn't have a black belt instructor, right? Look at your instructor and look at what they're doing and the work that they put in and ask yourself, is this someone that's black belt quality? And if it is, they'll get a black belt one day.
Yeah.
But this is something that I think that it's important to put out there because we're known for having schools that are not black belt run. And my school is not going to be black belt run. I'm a brown belt currently, right? But I think that quality matters. And I guess that's just kind of the message that I've never really heard anybody talk about yet,
Yeah.
other than like some owners being like, you can do it, follow the CTC program, and you can get 300 students in 2 years. Like,
Yeah.
that's motivating, but that doesn't really do much,
Yeah.
for me.
No, so true, dude. And yeah, I think I, um forgive me, I was just looking on my phone
You're
at
straight, bro. Don't
GU.
worry.
No, at
Yeah, yeah.
GU. There's more so over time. think in this last black belt graduation class, they had a lot more black belts than normal. So I was actually looking at GU just now and the locations. There's a lot more black belts now currently than there were maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. And that only makes sense because I remember when I first came in, like, 2020, and I was really researching all the schools and stuff. I was like, man, there aren't many black belts, but it only makes sense as long as you're not quitting, like you said, and you trust the process. Like, bro, you're going to be a black belt soon, like 2 years from now, 3 years. So it's not that long of a time, And
Hmm.
I had a private lesson with Zach Cunningham last month, and he was telling me, he was like, yeah, like,
Oh, dope.
there's more black belts than there's brown belts because you're only a brown belt for a short amount of time. It's like basically when you reach brown belt, it's not an absolute, of course, but when you reach brown belt, you're pretty much at the finish line,
Yeah.
meaning like, getting to the black belt, not finish line as in like you're completely done your training, of course, but I just mean for like, for the next belt rank. So that's why I see like black belts, 10-year black belts, 20-year black belt, 30-year black belts, 40-year black belts. That's going to be us one day, or like,
Yep.
whatever time is like, offered to us, of course. But yeah, dude, you're going to be just fine, bro. Like I've like, and it's cool that you're starting off as a brown belt, and I'm sure that
Yeah.
makes you happy as well. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it feels good. It feels good for sure, man. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And yo,
What can I ask you? Can I ask you a question real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Um, so because again, like all sorry, I've got the dogs. One second.
No, you good.
um, all the schools I came up in, again, for the majority of my training, I've been training at blue belt schools, just white and blue belts and combative belts. That's it.
Yeah,
And my journey is very unique where like I just came up and one day I was given a purple belt, one day I was given a brown belt, but that's not really like the environment I came up in.
yeah.
Could you, in your opinion and in your words, explain to me from maybe what your school looks at or whatever else? Because I have a lot of opinions, but they're all just internal, right? I've never actually lived this environment. What do you feel like is the difference between a Gracie purple belt and a Gracie brown belt?
Are we talking like Grace University purple belt, or like a brown belt?
Correct.
That's a good question. I would say for me, man, and I'm gonna answer it in a sense where from my own experience, of course, but because I'm under Howard and I train at a black belt run CTC, I know my experience has been a little bit different, and not different in a bad way. But to ultimately answer your question, when I got my purple belt, man, that was probably one of the highlights of my jujitsu journey. I was probably more happy with my purple belt just because, like, you get the blue belt, it's cool. Then you're a blue belt for 4 or 5 years, like in your case, 8 years. But that's really when I felt my jujitsu was actually like taken off because I made a video about this last month, but at purple belt, bro, I really feel that's when you start developing your game. You have a good strategy. People start to look at you now from a jujitsu sense. They respect you. Like you're not just, the high-ranking blue belt. You're a purple belt where people are like, oh, this part, like if I ask Nick a question, he's probably going to have some answer. Now, I might not have the
Yeah.
answer that you're looking for, but because, I'm in the room consistently and I'm learning, it's almost like that white belt mindset that, that we hear all the time. Yeah, at purple belt, that's when things really started to click. I was like, oh, I get why, Howard emphasizes position first, or like, the whole Gracie mentality, like defend, escape. So I hear it, but like a lot of the stuff I heard at blue belt, Logan, is stuff that I was actually able to actually truly understand at purple belt because A,
Yeah.
I'm utilizing it and I have people asking me the same questions that I would ask as a blue belt. So
Hmm.
it's kind of recycled material. And I loved how you said how you have all this knowledge that you want to, you know, give back to the world. So that's how I felt as a, rookie purple belt. And then it just got better over time. And then bro, when I got my instructor bars January 2020, 2022, 23, yeah, 23, the same time you got it, I sent you that photo,
Hmm.
which bro, I
Dude,
had
that's
no
amazing.
idea that you
Yep.
were even at that same event.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
but
That's
but
crazy, man. I'm glad you had that picture.
yeah, yeah. So then, like, again, to kind of answer the kind of to cover the answer about purple belt, when I got my instructor bars, that dude, that was a cool feeling. It's like, okay, cool. Like, it's a good recognition. Yes, I know it's only two, tapes on the belt, but it signified like I've been here for a while. I have something to offer, and again, to go back to why it's different for me, it's because I'm with Howard. I'm with Joey, who also just got his black belt. So I'm around like some quality instructors, not just like quality men on the mat, but quality like human beings off the mat. So I feel like my progression just got better, ju- whether it's jujitsu directly or indirectly, but I'm always thinking jujitsu, bro. Self-defense is
Yeah.
not just techniques, it's a mindset, it's what you eat, it's how you sleep, it's how you talk, it's how you convey your life in a way where like you're putting your safety first. So when you ask, what it was like for a purple belt, that's when all that knowledge finally, sunk in. Because as a blue belt, it was like a sponge analogy, and I talk about this a lot. Sponge, it's like boom, I dip a sponge in water, it's soaked. I do that. All the water that drained out was knowledge I wasn't ready yet. But as a purple belt, like my like sponge is a little bit more damp now because
Yeah.
like I was ready to receive that information. Bro, at brown belt, I don't know, man. Like I'm still kind of wrapping my finger around it because like now I just feel like I have a greater sense of responsibility. It's like all the stuff that I said at white belt, combative belt, blue belt, purple belt. Now I'm the embody of it. So if I'm gonna say something, not only do I have to like articulate in a way where people understand, but I have to be the example. So for me, brown belt is just everything that I've already embodied or I guess inculminated, if you will. So
Mhm.
oh man, maybe like hopefully that kind of answers your question,
Oh,
but
100%, dude. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Like, I love being able to hear like your perspective and also just some more pieces of your journey.
yeah, it's ongoing, man. It's never ending. And that's the cool thing about what we do is there's never a time I'm on the mat, especially when Howard or Joey are teaching. It's like I'm like a little white belt again, just watching because I know there's something that I can learn from them. Not that I can't learn from another instructor. So let me be very careful
Yeah.
about how I phrase that, but like what's up. I mean, like you can
Yeah. I
only
hear you.
yeah, so yeah, just to be clear to the viewers out there. So, shout out to all the students and, everyone that's helped me. But there's very like right now it's Howard and Joey. I learned so much from them and just because because I'm so well connected with them off the mat, it's like we're brothers. It's like it's almost like a switch. We can joke, and then like when it's time to be focused, it's like automatic. It's like not even a question, and it's rare to find in my opinion. But yeah, man, just the learning curve has been so it's been so cool. Some people say, "Oh, like Nick, you're a brown belt, but like you're already a black belt." I'm like, "No, I'm not because I haven't tested for it. It's not there yet. It's in the
Yeah.
future." Like it's a nice gesture and I get it, but no, like I'm very, very happy at where I'm at now. I was happy as a blue belt.
Mhm.
I was happy as a purple belt. I'm
Yeah.
ecstatic as a brown belt. Just the fact that I'm still here,
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, and that's something too. I like that you just said that because I think a lot of people like they would relish in that type of compliment, right? Because it does feel good, like you're doing the right things, that people see that you're doing the right things. But something that like I talk with my students is like I'm not in a rush to get a black belt. I just want my black belt.
Mm, yeah,
And this is something that I talk about a lot, like even through all the belt ranks, where it's not about you getting that belt. If you really wanted to be a purple belt, you can go buy one on Amazon. Straight up. Like no one's stopping you. It's not illegal, right? But
yeah,
you want to reach that level of your own capacity. And everyone's journey is so different.
yeah,
But like I'll tell you a quick story, but
yeah,
this just is more of a testimonial to GU,
yeah, yeah,
right? Um, so I left my teaching position. I've still been training. I have a bunch of buddies that own gyms. I have a friend that owns a gym here in the valley, giant like competitive based school,
sure.
right? Like hundreds of students, they're crushing it, great competition success. And we're talking, he and his friend would actually come to my combatives class. And they're both like third degree black belts. They'd come watch me teach as a blue belt. They'd pay a membership because they loved Gracie combatives.
Yeah,
And I'm like, this is freaking sick. Like, this is so cool. And in no way was I'm like, oh, I'm better than these guys. No, they could beat the crap out of me. But I was like, it's cool that they see the like appreciation of what GU is doing. Because
yeah,
they didn't come for me, they came for the Gracie program.
yeah,
Right. And so when I left, had a good relationship, hit this guy up. I'm like, yo, you mind if I come in and train a little bit? Like, I'm still training our CTCs, but I also just want to stay active. Um, he's like, yeah, bro, come through. We're having a conversation. He's like, dude, he's like, I've trained with you before. I know your level, this and that. And he straight up, I was a purple at the time. He goes, I'll tell you what. He's like, if you want to train here under me, he's like, we got to make it all official. So there's timelines, but in 18 months, I'll give you a black belt. A lot of people would
would
be like,
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that very kind, and he's a good friend of mine. That is not at all what it's about for me,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't want a black belt. I can go to a handful of schools that are closer than where I'm training now and probably get ranked up to black belt sometime, right? But I want a Grace University black belt
Yeah.
and I want my black belt. I want it from people that have seen my potential and my capacity and they feel like I have filled in what I need to fill to earn that rank, right? And I that's why I appreciate hearing you say, but I'm not a black belt yet,
Yeah.
right? Because there will be people that are like, oh man, like white belts right now. Oh, bro, you should get your blue belt. Like when you were sparring, right? MC fundamentals, I saw you tapped out the freaking 2-stripe blue belt. You should be a blue belt. Or
Yeah.
like, oh, bro, when are you getting your purple belt? Isn't that the only thing that matters is you're not that thing. But when it's your time for your belt, not the color, yours, that's when you'll get it.
Yeah.
And that's something that just because I have such a weird journey, like in terms of timelines, it's been very important for me to think that way. But it's also something I'd just like to share with people, especially someone who me and you are very much so aligned in terms of the journey and not like the destination.
Yeah, dude, so true. And I love how you mentioned that it's your belt. It's not the GU, it's not the black belt, it's not the purse. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Something I will only at this point in my life now, and a huge shout out to Henner Hedon, of course, but Howard's gonna like if I'm getting a black belt, it's being strapped by Howard, nobody else. I don't like Henner. Great, awesome. He can be there. He can hand Howard
Yep.
the, but Howard strapping it on. I refuse because it's just like you said, man. It's the people that have seen you walk the path, whether it was similar or not. But at the end of the road, they know what it took to get there because they've done the test or know what it's about. But you know what I mean?
100%, bro.
He's
100%. And
not
that's what it's
strapping me
about.
up. Yeah, yeah. Like if Howard's not strapping me up, I don't want it. I just don't.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so you understand completely. Yeah, bro. It's the same feeling where it's like,
Who would you
I don't
strap you up?
understand. Sorry,
Who would you want to strap you up if you could choose someone?
bro. So it's weird because like, first and foremost, I've never had a coach.
Mm,
So I've had like instructors, but I've never actually had a coach. I've never had someone that like analyzes my game and knows my jujitsu and like can give me improvements. I've never had that ever, like even to this day,
mm,
right? Because as soon as I became like a blue belt and started teaching, I just took over all the teaching. So my coach stopped training and teaching.
yeah.
And so I get a lot of guidance from others, but I don't really have somebody that's like, that's my guy. What
Mm,
I will say is right now, Jake Johnston in St. George,
yeah.
fourth degree black belt. I think he should be like a fifth degree black belt, but I mean, I'm not going to get into all that, right? So,
Old school Pedro guy too. Yeah.
yeah, bro, OG.
Yep.
So he is who I look up to over the past 18 months since I left my school. Him and I started this relationship, and he has been an amazing mentor to me. And he is probably the individual that I look towards when I think of who would be someone that is my coach.
Mm, that's
We've
cool.
had a handful of sessions together. When he drives up here, we're about 4 hours apart. So it's not a very convenient drive, but it's not impossible.
Mm,
He'll drive up, we'll train together on a Saturday. I'll drive down, I'll train with him for a couple days. Like we have that relationship. He's actually the first person. There was a couple people, and so I don't want to leave anyone out, but he was the first person to call up Heat on and nominate me for my brown belt.
nice.
We just got done with the training session, and I found this out hindsight, obviously, right? But he
Yeah, I
just called
wanted
him
to
up. He's like,
how that
yeah,
worked. Yeah, but then I'm glad that
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, kind of a trip. So, yeah, I was a purple belt, one stripe. I had my purple belt for less than a year and a half.
Yeah.
So, according to IBJJF, bro, I don't even qualify.
What's that? What's IBJ?
But
Yeah. What's that? Just,
yeah, yeah, right, yeah.
I'm
But
kidding.
so it was kind of a trip because back in last July 2025. Again, like I'm kind of in this phase, even right now, of like I'm this like jujitsu Ronin type deal, where like I'm a certified instructor. I have a couple of friends that own CTCs. I'm still training multiple classes I'm still teaching at the local CTCs because they're my boys and I'm covering classes. I'm running private lessons. Like that's just how I'm like staying alive right now is just teaching jiu-jitsu, but I don't have my own school.
Yeah.
And I'm not the instructor of a school. I'm just teaching as a certified instructor at a couple different CTCs. And it's dope that I can like not die just by like teaching people jiu-jitsu. That's sick,
Yeah.
right? So what happened was back in July, I take this trip and we had ICP. So I said, you know what? This is what we're gonna do. I hit up Jake. I said, Jake, you're on the way. Can I come down to St. George for a couple days? He goes, 100%. From Jake's, I went to Indio, California, and I stayed with Cameron Burbank. Stayed with him for a couple days, and then I went to headquarters. Okay. This was off cycle ICP. Yeah, summer of 2025. It's the week after ICP. So I'm just going on this trip thinking nothing of it. I'm like, I want to train. I want insight. I need help from people that know this business that are not the kind of like bad experiences that I had at the school that I used to be teaching at. Like I need some actual real guidance right now.
Sure.
I'm sparring with Jake, and Jake is somebody that keeps it very real, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And he will be honest. And I'm grateful that he is someone I believe upholds standards. Everyone's journey is different, but at the end of the day, there should be standards.
Yeah.
And so I train with him, and he makes a couple of comments to me, like while I'm there, just in passing, right? But he's like, all right, like just making comments. And one of his students, like, oh yeah, like, you know, we're talking about like we're sweeping the mats, and like, oh, like Logan's a black belt sweeper too. And Jake makes a comment. He's like, well, bro, have you rolled with him? He's like, I think his belt should be black too. Like just making these side comments that aren't anything crazy. And for me, I'm like, Jake's a nice guy. Like, who cares, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm very appreciative just be in his presence. I'm not there for any recognition by any means. Cool. I then go to Cameron, India. Apparently, Jake calls up Cameron. He goes, hey, we got this guy heading over to your place.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, Logan's staying with me. He goes, I need you to check him out for me. He's like, he's a purple belt right now, but like he feels, I need to know if you feel what I'm feeling, is pretty much my understanding. Train with Cameron, have an amazing time. I then go to headquarters. Okay. While I'm in LA at headquarters, I get a call. And pretty much they say, hey, look, you have had multiple instructors. Because also when I'm in Cali, sorry, just side note. And I want to say this because there's a couple instructors that like I want to share this.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you are not at a school that has higher level belts, brown belt, purple, brown, black belts, when you go to the meets, you need to seek out those training sessions and rounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I'm always
So,
on our black belts.
bro,
Yep.
like, do not, like, you have to. So, my whole thing is my jujitsu, like, I'm not like spazzy. Like, my jujitsu is pretty chill. We've never rolled. We need to. I'm super stoked to roll with you. But,
Yeah.
like, my jujitsu is pretty, like, clean. I'm not, like, super spazzy or anything. I'm not a super strong guy.
Same here.
So when I go out, like I'm seeking out all the toughest rounds I can because there's a little bit of like I don't have a chip on my shoulder, but it's like I want to like really legitimately test my techniques against people that aren't my students.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for
How
years and years,
do you
it's
know?
just theory. Yeah, who knows? It's like it's just theory. So when I go out there, like every time I'm out there, bro, they know it. And I tell them, I tell Sam, I always stay. I take the class. I was at GU for like 16 hours this last trip because I want to stay for Sam's class. Got done at 10. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, I don't have anyone that I can like legitimately like test my skills against. Like when I'm out here, like, are you comfortable? Like if we roll and I really try. And he's like, bro, bring it. Let's go. Right. So I'm chasing out Sam, Alex Stewart, Zach Cunningham. I always get rounds in with Bobby because she's dope and she's just the best. Right. But you need to be chasing those things.
Yeah.
You need to be putting yourself in situations where when it's sparring time, you're not sitting on the bench if you live in freaking whatever state and you don't have any black belts around, you better be on the mat getting those rounds,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Because I
though,
did
dude.
that,
So
right?
yeah.
So because I did that, apparently I found out on this trip, same trip, I went from St. George to India to LA. I found out that a couple people had talked and they go, hey, bro, you're up for it. Like you're getting it. But you're a week late.
What do you mean?
Because I was there the week after ICP and Hedon and Henner are out of town. So I said, all good, bro. I'm not in a rush. I'm a one stripe per belt, all good. So now when we go out, this ICP meeting you just came back from last month, Same thing. I go out there and I want to like test my skills, right? So I'm rolling with the hardest rounds I can find, right? Like PBS 4 purple belts, brown belts, black belts. I'll roll with anybody. I'll roll with the combative belt too. I don't care. But what I'm saying is like I'll put myself into situations to test myself if
Yeah.
it's possible. And last day at ICP, they end up hooking it up, and I was like, I don't know. I'm not going to ask questions. I've never asked for a promotion, and also I don't have a coach to ask. But I'm not definitely not going to call up Heat on and say, hey, can I get a promotion? So
Yeah.
I'm just training, doing my things, showing my skill set wherever that lies, like on the spectrum. And apparently, a few people saw something that they wanted to share the word, and then they ended up giving it to me. But it kind of comes back to what I was saying, where like jujitsu is not always going to be this linear process all the time, especially if you don't have a black belt coach.
Yeah.
Put the work in, and then when the moment arises, like put yourself in a situation that you can seize that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I try to do every single time. Is I'm not a world beater, but like I'm going to put myself in situations where I can show people all the hard work that they didn't see. I don't have a Howard to belt me up to black belt that's seen my journey.
Yeah.
None of these guys have seen my journey at all. But the first person to not see my journey and recognize me for the work I've put in was Jake Johnston.
Yeah.
And that is why, full circle, I feel like he's the individual that I would look towards in terms of he upholds standards. He wouldn't just like BS me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that he put his neck out for me making the first phone call for a random purple belt that's not his student, that he had absolutely no obligation to do so. And he still did that, being the first person to reach out, call other CTCs I was visiting, call up to headquarters, this and that. He kind of started this snowball effect. And forever that, like for that, I'm forever grateful. So, very long answer to your question.
I
But
love it.
currently, that's kind of where I lie. If it's heat on strapping me up, I love it. I've trained with heat on personally way more than Henner.
Yeah.
Obviously, both of them, nothing but respect, and I wouldn't be with this organization if I didn't believe in both of them. Like I'd be honored to receive black belt from either of them.
Sure. Sure.
But hands-on wise, like when it comes down to it, who have I spent the most training with? Heat on over Henner. Jake I've spent a lot of time with. Cameron I've spent a lot of time with. He's a brown belt currently, right? So he couldn't promote me. But I don't really have that person that's like the person I've been with. The only people like that are the people that I will one day give black belts to.
Yeah.
Those are my guys. I have a couple like 3-stripe blue belts where I'm like, that's my boy right there.
Mhm.
Like if he could give me a black belt, I'd let him. Like he's been in the trenches with me every single day for years, and that's I think what makes me the most excited is Jimmy at headquarters. I forget his last name. You know the gentleman Jimmy, black belt. He does private lessons, glasses.
Yeah. He's always smiling. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jimmy said something I'll never forget. I asked him. I was still a blue belt. This was maybe that 2022 one that we were out with the instructor bars. He has black belt. I was like, bro, congratulations. How's it feel? Standard question. Right? He looks at me. He goes, it feels good that my students have a black belt instructor. I feel that in my heart. I
Yeah.
feel that like deep in my soul, bro. And so brown belt feels good because like I am stoked to be one step closer to my students that have been with me for 8 years to have a black belt instructor.
Mhm.
And when I have a black belt, there's so many students that I have right now that I want to be what Howard is to you for them,
Yeah, dude.
you know? Because Howard sees the work that you put in and you freaking deserve it. And I have some guys that are the exact same way right now.
Yeah, dude.
And I can't wait for their time and for me to be an opportunity to give that to them.
Yeah, dude. So true, dude. Oh man. Yeah, it's a huge shout out to Jake Johnson, just, seeing something in you, bro. And something that so I always learn a lot from, each of my podcast guests. That's one of the reasons why I love, just having conversations that are so kind of effortlessly, if you will.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I learned that, like you reminded me that, when it comes to the belt system, which is all arbitrary in jiu-jitsu anyways, it's all opinion based if we're being
Mhm.
honest, but you explained in a way where everyone's journey truly, truly is different,
Yeah.
and just been um Howard says this, and I'm going to share it with you because it really resonates with you, Logan, that, you know, opportunity is going to have a hard time tripping over you.
Yeah.
And you've made those
I
opportunities.
love that. I've never heard that before. I love that.
Yep. And nah, dude, that's so cool. Listen, man, this has been such an awesome conversation. It went, I think this is my longest podcast I've had, and I didn't realize, where we're at now. I really
Yeah,
appreciate,
I didn't even know it. You're right though. It flies by, man.
yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and just to kind of go back and reflect on what was talked about. You dove into your start of jujitsu, so shout
Mhm.
out to your brother and also your mom as well, and realizing that maybe you needed some type of more disciplined guidance as a young teen, if you will, like as we're kind
Yeah.
of surfing that phase of our life, and
Hmm.
your first competition, and by accident you got a gold medal. And I think the coolest part, or one of the coolest takeaways from this conversation, Logan, is that when you're teaching your students, which you have been doing now for the last 10 years, like you said, but when you do open up your CTC very soon, which I'm so excited for you, you're going to be able to not just share the jujitsu, concepts and the mindsets that we teach every day in combatives, but you also have a different realm, but like a more perspective of jujitsu. Like, yeah, guys, this can work in the street, but this can also be applied in a sports situation. But keep in mind,
Hmm.
punches are thrown, it's totally different. And that can only
Yeah.
come, like I said, with experience. So your students are definitely going to be, I don't, much better off, yes. And again, it's not to take away from any other instructor. It's just
Hmm.
the opportunity was there. And I love, Logan, how you said that all this information has been given to you, the good and the bad, and you feel an obligation to pass that on. And I think that's something that I think as instructors, that's what we all want. But to be able to hear that in the way you articulated it, that was a good reminder of like why I do what I do, why Howard does what he does. And, huge shout out to Henry Hedon for just, giving us this platform, if you will.
Definitely.
It's so cool, man. Yeah, before we wrap it up, I know you
Hmm.
have your school, coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely let me know when that opens up. And
100%.
maybe one day things I can make it over to that side of the country. And
That'd be sick, bro. I'll tell you what, if you ever come out, you got a place to stay. I got you.
oh dude, thank you so much. And then I always like to also give my guests, and you kind of touched on it throughout this conversation, but to
Hmm.
really hone in, this, latter half as you're bringing back home. Are there any like if you could give shout outs to anyone right now that kind
Yeah.
of who would you like to thank?
Um, yeah, a couple key people have already shouted out. Number one, Cameron Burbank, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu India.
Yep.
That's the dude. If there's any CTC instructors or owners out there, he is the head of CTC support, not just because he's good at his job, because he is probably the best person I've ever met in my entire life. I feel like unintentionally, he is like a life inspiration for me. Nothing to do with jujitsu.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dope guy, great person. Jake Johnston, thank you. Very grateful. Everybody at GU, Henry and Heat all the amazing instructors. They have something that they're sharing that is changing the world. And I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Locally here, real quick, two schools that they have kind of given me a home base while I've been school homeless. And they've still allowed me to train and run private lessons and teach classes and connect with our students. Ryan Greer, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu South Jordan. If you're ever down in the South Jordan Daybreak area, if anyone that's listening in Utah, hit him up, go train. I'll probably be there. Clinton, Utah, Spencer Lunskog, I believe is how you pronounce his name. We've only been friends for 13 years. Who knows? But Clinton, if you're ever up north, northern Utah, hit him up. And I will be opening a school. One of my students, Nick Miner, Bountiful, Utah. Sorry. Got to hit all my friends that are giving me the opportunity to train. Okay. So I'm grateful. So I got to make time for them. Um, he's a blue belt. I think he runs combatives. But if you're new to jiu-jitsu, hit him up. I'll be opening a school in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. It's the capital of the state. If you ever hear jazz games, hockey, we now have a pro hockey team, Park City skiing, come find me, come hit me up. We'll connect on the mats. I guarantee we'll have a good time. And like we always say, bro, right? If the first class, it's not the best class you've ever had in your life, you can choke me for free.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think those are the people. And then finally, my girlfriend, she allows me to train jujitsu and do what I love. And she is my biggest support system of why I'm able to go on this journey and start this business and everything else. I couldn't do it without her support in every single way. Um, Yeah, most 30-year-old professionals, and she's dope. She has her shit together. Like everything's she's solid. She's like a PA, like a doctor. Um, most girls don't want to wait to like have the wedding, have the kids, buy the house, but she knows how important all this is to me, and so I really am grateful for her in terms of allowing me to curate the life in the order that I need it to be.
Oh yeah, dude.
So, Marissa, thank you.
Yeah, that's so awesome, man. And I want to thank you for coming on to the podcast as well. And thank you for trusting me with this. Yeah, man, it was an honor to be able to connect with you in person. Because we had connected a little bit online before the ICP, because you had been following the podcast and the Kumite.
Yeah, yeah, dude, I was checking it out, man. I think I just shot you a message one day because I was like, this is dope. Like this is the kind of jujitsu that I want to hear about online. That's not all just like drugs and like gay jokes. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, this is what's up. So yeah, I love what you're doing here, man. I'm so honored to have been able to be a part of it.
Yep, absolutely, Logan. Yeah, we look forward to hearing about your like your upcoming opening CTC. And one more thing, where can people find you on social media if you have a website or any type of
Yeah.
connection that the viewers can stay connected?
hmm Yeah. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Logan LOGANYUEN. On Instagram, my Instagram's private. It'll be time for another podcast. I had a crazy incident with a stalker, so all my social media had to go private.
I respect that.
Yeah, so my social media presence is not very strong at the moment. Yeah, long story short, it was a woman who I've never talked to in my life that I
Should you
taught her
help first?
5-year-old bro. I taught her 5-year-old son in Little Champs,
Oh no.
and she fell in love with me. Ended up stalking me for 18 months. It was crazy, but not big on social media.
I'm not laughing. Bro.
Oh yeah, no, no, no. It's a trip. No, it's funny now, bro. It's like
Yeah.
it's wild. Crazy story. We'll get into it. It takes another 2 hours just on that. But private Instagram.
Part two
Follow
coming
me
up.
if I see that you got jujitsu going on with your Instagram, I'll accept it because I'll know that you're part of the vibe. You're from Kumite. Send me a DM. I'll accept a request. Whatever. I have a temporary business email because I'm still getting my business set up. First and last name Logan Yuen GJJ like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu at gmail.com. Feel free to hit me up on that. Send any inquiries, any questions, and then keep an eye out on the uh, CTC database. When you go to gracieuniversity.com, you can look for CTCs. You'll see one that's popping up in like the Holiday Salt Lake City area. And when you click on it, you'll see this face. And I'll be there ready for you guys as soon as, we're ready to have you.
That's so cool, dude. Logan, thank you so much for your time today, man. It was an honor to have you on. Yeah, the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. All the best to you, bro.
Thank you. You as well, brother. Take care.